Well, hello and welcome. We are on day three, third call for this free series that I'm doing um, in regards to how do you deal? How are you being? What's going on in your world during these super intense times that are going on in our lives and in the world around us? Um, so, I don't know if you've listened to the other two. If you haven't, they're there. You can watch them. But what prompted me to start this conversation was last week because I was aware of this energetic funk I was in. And so many people as well. And so my name is Lene. Name of my company is Growth Junkie Coaching. I'm an intuitive transformational coach. And what that means is just with my ability to kind of go in and dive into people's energetic blind spots, things that you can't see, but I can see pretty darn quickly. And to be able to clear those and have some more space around them, some more freedom, more peace, and then to have tools how to master your own energy after that, like how not to get back into that and repatterning your old beliefs and limitations and all of that. So, with all of that said, so we've had two calls. Today's call was actually inspired by a conversation I had with a new client last night who actually had watched me, and she's like, well, I think I need to talk to you. So she said I could share some little details, and I thought I would, and that's what titled today's call. And I think, what did I write it down as? How do you react? What's your normal reaction mode? Do you go to stress, worry, your story, or freak out? And those were like the four that I was able to help this new client with last night to identify what was going on. So I'll share a little bit of that, her story, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about if that's something, how you normally react in a situation, like what's happening and what's creating in your world and what else is possible. Okay. So she is affected by one of the wars that is going on, and it's a personal for her. She has family involved. And, I was talking about in these intense times, how do we allow, it's truly allow choice, that everything around us is happening? And how do you stay aligned and grounded while that's all happening and not get pulled in all the directions? And so when we got on the call yesterday, she was at like a mass 100 of stress, worry, total freak out, and wrapped up in so many stories. By the end of the hour, totally different energy that she was able to be with. So in times of intensity, or just your regular, like, how do you handle situations? Which energy? These are all energy. They're all energetic distractors. Stress is an energetic distractor. Worry, freak out is not particularly an energetic distractor, but it's what we're doing with it underneath. And then our stories. Okay. So what I wanted you guys to walk away with is this awareness, first of all. So I'm here to help you empower women to master their own energy, not master your energy, but master your own energy, because it really is a specific awareness of like my own energy versus everybody else's. So when you react with stress, what I want you to be aware of what you're doing energetically, okay? Your space that you're being, period, the space that you're being when you do stress. What's happening underneath the stress layers? Because remember, I work from underneath the words. So if you say I'm stressed, I'm going to go, okay, what is that? Like, what actually is that? And it ultimately sometimes comes to a basic energy of where you do not trust yourself. So you do stress because you haven't learned how to master your own energy to trust yourself. Now, that topic is a topic I could cover on just completely, where we have, over time let ourselves down in situations, or, our points of view create our reality. So our points of view create the reality in which you're living in. And then the things that have happened in the past, you pull up energetically to function in today, which don't serve you at all. And you don't know you're doing that until you actually start working with the energetics of yourself. So stress usually, most likely, is where you do not trust yourself. Okay. So that's number one, just to know. And none of this is to be like, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong, because consciousness is about, oh, that's what I'm doing. I wonder what else I could choose. Worry really is like an energetic where you just don't trust the universe. Like you just worry. You just worry. You just worry. And a lot of that worry you learned from somebody else. Okay. Again, another conversation all by itself. But what's your like first instinct when you're dealing with intensities or things that are going on, something that's heavy in your life? Okay. So freak out. Freak out. And this client I had last night, all of them. So all of them. So just letting her have it, And one thing happens is when all of that is in your space, in your world. And I say world because it's in your world. It's like the stress, the worry, the freak out in her stories, everything was like right here. It was right here. And when you have depression too, I've shared that I know depression, that when it's depression's here and energy is heavy, it's like it's right here in your face and you cannot see anything else. So the work that we did, we were able to pull it energetically, literally out of her space, have her breathe, and then pull away what was actually real and true for her and what wasn't. And what could we change? Okay. So freak out, when you're freaking out, literally freaking out, it completely takes you out of your awareness. Okay. Now, most people don't really have their awareness down yet. Okay. That's kind of my thing, is teaching people how to have awareness. And it's a muscle, because this reality doesn't really encourage us to be aware of what it is we're aware of. And then to be aware that we're aware of it and actually know that we're aware of it. Okay. So everything that was. So when you do freak out, you pop out of what it is that you actually know. And then you go into freak out. Okay. These are all energies. Can you get them? Can you get them? Like if I say them, you're like, oh yeah, I know that one. Oh yeah, I know that one. And then stories. Oh my God, people love their stories. People love their stories. So in all of this stress, worry, and freak out, there was all these stories she had. And none of them were actually of present moment, but they compounded everything energetically for her. So we extrapolated, like, is that even real? Is that even true? Is that even right now? And then what we were able to find underneath all of that was like, oh, we just need a safe place to be. And that safe place was to have a safe place just at home, which she didn't have. So there's work to be done, but it was like all of this came down to like just needing to be safe somewhere. And when we do stories, because people love their stories, we have stories, and what they do is they literally create these energetic barriers, which is what we call limitations and beliefs. And if you want to change something in your life, you're living in business, and you're so busy telling the stories, not much is going to change, because there's no way for anything new to get in or out. I'm a talker with my hands, if you haven't noticed. And stories. Okay. So the one thing I also want to get across and into your awareness is that every energy that we have actually has an energetic number vibration attached to it. I've been in the study for the past year under the map of consciousness, where studies were done. It's just a brilliant book. It's actually this book, this one. Okay. Not a light read by any means. But understanding that when we are doing this, those energies, we are vibrating at a certain vibration, the megahertz. And when we're in that space, nothing's changing, nothing's creating, and there is absolutely no ease to be found. And that's what I would like for all of us to have, is more consciousness, more awareness, and awareness with where we're functioning from, our thoughts, our feelings and emotions, which are usually thoughts, feelings and emotions are usually lower vibrations. So for example, I have this beautiful, well, it's not beautiful, it's just a little thing that I share with people in my in coaching, one-on-ones or in classes, and in my new upcoming course, Master Your Own Energy Academy. The energies that she was vibing in, you know how people say you're vibing? There's actually a vibe. There's actually a vibration, and you're probably pretty much aware, you know, when something's heavy, dark, and yucky, and you get all that crunching, contracted, that's a low vibration. Versus if you're out at the beach, at the water, at the mountain, something like that, it's a higher vibration. So vibration is like it's real. It's really there. So the energies that she was vibrating in yesterday was fear. I would put that as probably the number one, fear. And that runs at like 100. Okay. So we go 20, 30, 50, 75, 100. I love the energy of where I can be in this like neutrality, willing, acceptance, reason, joy, and love. That's kind of like where I like to vibe. But it's taken a lot of muscle work, you know, to be at that. And that's in the numbers of like, and I don't use numbers as a right or wrong, but it's like if you're looking at things from an energy perspective, and I could put a little number and I'm like, oh, you're like running and playing around in this 100 range. What would it take for you to choose to be an energy of like 400, 500? And I'd say by the time we got done with the conversation, if I was to, which I did, read that energy, we were in a neutral place and a calm place, and like a place of where she had more question and some tools that she walked away with. So maybe in that like 250-ish range. Okay. And again, the numbers are on the studies and so forth, but it does give you like, wow, where am I living? And if you're living, I think they say 90% of the population runs in the lower vibrations, in that 20, 30, 40, 50, and 100. Okay. So we're not alone. You know, that's where that's why consciousness and the tools that I teach, you have to be really willing to want to change, because it's, you know, even in her moment of just complete despair, it takes courage to pick up the phone and say, you know, and then we meet on Zoom, pick up the Zoom and say, hey, I don't like where I'm at. There's got to be something else possible here. Can you help me take a look at what's going on? And we're able to do that in one session. So, and I look forward to seeing what her next choice is to go further. So for today, how do you react? And I could follow this up with another call of like the ideal ease reaction place is to not have a reaction, to be what we call this it's an interesting point of view. It's neutral. It's something I have mastered very well in 12-step programs and in Al-Anon. In case anybody's familiar with Al-Anon, Al-Anon is when you have active addicts in your life. And you get to be this energy of like, wow, they are just choosing whatever they are choosing. And I get to just choose to be with me. I do body work. I do energy body work, and I had a bars client this morning. And I won't go into it, but her adult son has been out in the streets for quite a while. And she's got a phone call. I won't go. It was just amazing because I did her bars on Friday. And then he was actually in the energetic space of us. We were talking about him, and she got a phone call on Saturday that he had a congestive heart failure. He's fine. But she got to use her tools that she's learned from me in the sense of like, what am I going to do to choose me? She chose herself instead of being pulled in to his drama and trauma. And let me tell you that courageousness, yay, yay for her, because she's actually been working with me for almost 2 years to get to the place where in reaction, when the intensity is happening around her, she used to go right into it, like want to fix it, heal it, you know, the worry, the angst, the sadness, the grief. What did I do as a mother? Too, she literally today described it. She said, Lene, I thought, and I just stepped back, and if I did this, what would that create? Remember the call yesterday? If I choose this, what will this create? If I choose that. And she ended up not even getting in contact with him. And of course, she's sad. And of course, that hurts. Her son did. And then her son called her other son, and said, it's just a mess. Alcoholics and addicts can be quite a mess. And so she did really good. I was really proud of her choices, and that even though it did hurt, and because as a mom, we are energetically still, you know, there's these cords, but that, and today she said, I'm so glad that I took care of me. She said, otherwise you'd be, you know, digging me out of a hole today. And that hole could have lasted weeks. And today she'll just have a little bit of that pain in there. So there we go. So today's call was a little bit more like, so I'm wondering, like, everything that is, like right now, if you've gotten involved with this call with me and you're like, wow, what I'd like you to do is destroy and uncreate like your connection with everything I've said. Like, what would that be like to like have this interaction with me and go, wow, interesting. I might relate to that. I might understand that. But you know what? None of it belongs to you. And it doesn't help if you go into it with me. But for you to be this interesting point of view, neutral place to go, wow, I got to hear and experience this, but I didn't have to react. Okay. And then, you know, like I was going to say, and then I'll finish. We function from two different places. We either, when something's happening, we either align and agree with it, or we resist and react to it energetically. Align and agree, resist or react, or lots of practice, lots of tools, lots of learning, lots of willingness, but totally there is like, wow, interesting, with no point of view. And that is the description of consciousness, is that everything exists and nothing is judged. Everything exists and nothing is judged. Definitely not probably a place that normal reality is living in, but wouldn't it be cool if everything was just existing and no one was judging everything, and just how much more space and ease you could have. So there you go. So what frequency are you being? What are you vibing at today? And I'm available if you'd like to have any conversations about how you're handling anything that's going on in your life. We can take a peek at that energy. And my invitation has been and will continue to be is in my Phenomenal Woman community, where you have 7 hours of monthly coaching with me. It's 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week, to literally change your reality. And it's normally $99, and it's half price right now, $49.50, because the world needs it. And you show up, replay, or be live with me, and 15 minutes of the magic that we do in there. Okay. And phenomenal stands for beyond ordinary, beyond extraordinary, into the space of phenomenons. So it's a space and an energy to be with other women who creating in the highest vibration of possibility. And how's it getting better than that? So I invite you to join that. And that's 30-day sequences. And so you can try 30 days out and see. And a lot of those women, like I've said, have been in there for three full years. So, all right, you guys. So in the midst of everything that's going on in your world, what energy are you going to choose to be? Or just choose to be conscious of what it is that you're choosing, and continue to learn to master your own energy. All righty. Thanks for joining me. leave me comments as well.